Well, hello, Colonial hockey fans. Tim Benz, Mike Prisuta, and head coach Derek Schooley here on our Zoom interview chat. This is a great idea by Derek. Thought that with the unfortunate shut-in that we're dealing with because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we should check in on the Robert Morris University hockey program, and Mike and I completely agree. It's a good time to check in and see how Derek and the players are doing.
And Tim, it's not like we had a whole lot else to do, so why not, right?
That's right. We certainly had nothing but time available. We didn't even get to do our last coaches show, so this is sort of an equivalent of that. And Derek, why don't we pick up right there? I mean, last we talked to you guys, it was at Colonial's Arena at the RMU Island Sports Center. You had just beaten Holy Cross in your first-round playoff series, and you were off to Sacred Heart to go take on a really good Pioneers team. And then the shutdown happened, and not only did the shutdown happen, it happened – didn't it while you guys were actually on the ice practicing? Didn't you get the word while you were on the ice practicing?
Well, you go back to the night before Wednesday, you're sitting in the hotel, and I was on an NCAA conference call, and it was brought up by Mike Schaefer, and they said, you know what, what if we don't end up playing with fans at the Frozen Four? And we all kind of were like, yeah, okay, whatever. And next thing you know, we were playing at Sacred Heart, and they were having fans in the building. And then one by one, a couple college teams decided they weren't going to play in the playoffs in the ECAC. You heard rumors of the ECAC trying to redo their playoffs. Wednesday night comes, the day before we play, and the NBA incident with Rudy Gobert shuts down the NBA. You get up, you have pregame skate. We had a pregame skate in the morning on Thursday. I don't go on the ice during pregame skates. My assistants, Ryan and Mike, ran it. It was spirited. I watched it, but I also sat on the phone with some people, and they were talking about potential of not having games. And we got back. We went back to the hotel. We had a pregame meal. I got an emergency conference call at 12:15. We talked for a while, and then I got the word at 12:30 that Atlantic Hockey was going to shut down their playoffs. And AIC, the regular season champs, would be our the Atlantic Hockey's bid to the NCAA tournament. He had to go down and do a pregame meal and interrupt the meal and tell the guys that, and it's weird, it was surreal. I think I told you that, Mike, on the bus. It was surreal. And had to tell the guys that we were ending our season. And let's pack up out of the hotel and let's get back to Pittsburgh. So it was like I said, it was awkward. It was like it's like that awkward silence because you feel bad for the seniors who don't get a chance to finish, but you also feel bad because we had to go in the rink at Sacred Heart, who had a lot of seniors, had a really good team. We're building for that this year. They were as devastated as us. So you got two teams that don't know how to act, and next thing you know, we're instead of finishing our game around 10:30 or so and getting ready for game two, we're pulling back into the Island Sports Center.
Derek, you didn't get to finish, but you at least didn't lose to get knocked out. Where are you guys now? You've obviously fast forwarded to off-season mode, but would you be doing anything at this time of the year? And if so, how are you working around not being able to do that collectively?
Well, the one thing that we didn't get a chance to do, we had a team meeting Friday morning because our guys were dispersing. They were going to different parts of the country. They were, Santeri Hartikainen going back to Finland. Justin Adamo was trying to decide what we're doing. So we had a quick team meeting, talked about our preseason, our postseason. We had individual meetings that day for the returners, and they lasted 5 minutes. And I don't think anybody could predict it on that Thursday that we'd be sitting here 8 and 9 weeks later and being in the same situation and where we'd be going. And right now, what we would have been doing is this is finals week. This is the last day of our finals. So our guys would have probably been either preparing to go home or celebrating. And we weren't able to have a closure. You weren't allowed, nobody had banquets. Nobody had spring workouts. So everybody's kind of in the same scenario, but we've tried to do some things, which I'm sure we can get into a little bit, but we would have had spring workouts up until last week. And then we would have been in the final exams this week.
Derek, I know that this has been asked quite a bit of the NHL players and teams associated with the players while they're dispersed elsewhere like your guys are. But I mean, hockey is such a different discipline physically, cardiovascularly, the muscles used, the skating discipline, the stick work. How do your players simulate that if they can't get ice? I mean, I know this time of year it's not necessarily easy to get ice anyway, but I mean, it's so much harder now. What are they doing?
Well, we've had Eric Jones, our strength coach, has done a very good job through putting daily workouts together. And putting daily workouts for us has been challenging because guys don't have access to gyms. And we found out we've had some Zoom calls with our guys. We've talked to our players. We've been able to do things like that, but not everybody's got a gym. So he's had to do a lot of body weight stuff. He's had to do a lot of stuff with creative with medicine balls. If you don't have a medicine ball, throw a cinder block, a lot of push-ups, wall sits, a lot of muscle recovery, a lot of bounding, jumping. So it's been, like, I can imagine if you're talking about the NHL potentially starting back up, they're going to have to get back on the ice, get back into the swing of things. And I say I watch my kids every day. They've got a weight bench and they've got the ability to shoot pucks and do things, but nothing is simulating the skating that they're missing. And it's going to take a little bit, especially the physicality of our sport.
You know, it's good for that improvised workout thing. I went down to my local tire store and got one of those big tires. And
Yeah.
I've been heaving that around the backyard, and I went to the hardware store and got a sledgehammer. You'd be surprised what you can do with those two things.
Are you being serious? You're doing that?
I am.
And who would ever thought you would be able to do that with after your hip replacements?
Way past that. Way past that.
It's good for frustration too, isn't it? You beat the tire up a little bit.
It's not. You got to watch though. It bounces up. I wear my hockey helmet when I do it because it's got a full cage. You don't want that sledgehammer bouncing back up and catch you in the face.
Well, I mean, it's you're used to it because when you played hockey, you just would go stand in front of the net and you just have to dodge pucks, because you couldn't move to get to any other spot.
Well, I prefer to think I was such a good net front presence. Changes happen every year, Derek. Even though this is an atypical year, give us a quick assessment. You had some significant losses, but you have significant returnees. How do you envision your additions fitting in when we get around to playing again? Where will the Colonials be starting when we start again?
Well, I mean, we've got some guys that were played a lot of hockey for us that graduated, and the seniors, we're going to miss those guys, and you feel bad for them because they didn't get an end to their college career. And you've got we had a great addition in Justin Kapelmaster as a transfer goalie. The job will be open between their incoming freshmen and Reed Cooper and Dylan Lubesmeyer. And you've got some guys that we think are primed to take even bigger steps as they went along. You look at some of our top guys like Adamo, I talked about, and Percusic. Percusic's got the ability to be a 40-point guy. He was at right around 30. You got Adamo and you got Spellici, and you got some guys that are very good hockey players. And Santeri Hartikainen was really coming on at the end of the year. And our blue line is going to be a strength for us. As much as we will have to find a way to replace Sean Giles and Alex Robert on the blue line, that's going to be a strength because of the guys that we got coming back are especially Nick Jenny had an outstanding year. And then you've got McCallion and Schaefer had great years. And, a lot of experience was gained by some of the younger guys as well. So there's some pretty good hockey players returning, and the cupboard isn't bare, that's for sure.
What can you tell us and people who are watching about some of the incoming freshmen? Is there anything you can say about those guys? Those who are committed that you're allowed to speak of?
Well, you know what, there's some good hockey players. We've got a lot of good players in that class, and I don't want to pump them up too much, but we think that it's a really good class. Ryan Crothers and Michael Gershon did a very good job of putting this class together. It's deep. We've got a transfer coming in that we can't talk about, but we think that the 8 guys that we've got coming in with the players up front, the 2 defensemen and the goaltender, are going to really help. And we're really excited about it. And like I said, Ryan and Mike did an outstanding job. But we're going to miss guys up front. We're going to miss a Jake Coleman, a Daniel Mantenuto, a Luke Lynch. And those guys are guys that played a lot of hockey for us. But the one thing I'm really excited that I think can really help us that will take a step is getting back a healthy Grant Bear. You saw at times with Grant being a dominant player. And he was those first 2 years he has not been healthy. But when he was playing this year, he was very good. And I think that when he had a concussion, he had a concussion that we saw him carted off the ice against Mercyhurst, and then we saw him break his wrist. And it was just getting to the point where if we could have kept playing maybe another weekend, maybe Grant would have been back in the lineup. But we think we've got a really good hockey team returning.
You're going to have a change in the staff as well. You mentioned Mike Gershon a couple times. He's gotten himself a head coaching job. What's the plan reacting to that?
Well, congratulations to Mike. He's done a great job for us for 5 years. He started as a hockey ops guy. He worked with our defense and our penalty killing. And I know he spent a lot of time with you guys, giving you the scouting reports before the game. And I'm sure that we'll have to find a new person to give you guys the reports. But congratulations to him and getting the Chatham head coaching job. He doesn't have to leave Pittsburgh and gets to be a college hockey head coach. So we're excited for him. I think he'll do an outstanding job. Ryan Carruthers has been with us a year. He did a very good job in implementing some offensive concepts, and we'll put a lot more on Ryan. Ryan's a very good young coach. He's been at high levels, and we'll give him a lot more responsibility as far as, in fact, one of the responsibilities that me and him will be working on together starting soon is picking a replacement for Mike. And right now it's going to be a slow process. I think everybody that's in higher education and even any job right now knows that it's hiring freeze time. And once we get the go ahead, we've got a lot of very good resumes that from a lot of different types of backgrounds and people. And we've been fortunate to have some great people work here. And I think we'll be able to find the same. And it's weird. I've had the same guys around a long time. And, from Mark Workman and Matt Nicholson to Cody and Michael, and now Ryan's been here. I've been fortunate to have some good people here a long time.
Derek, it's kind of ironic, but with the last sporting event in Pittsburgh was actually the Robert Morris basketball game, the NEC championship game. Mike and I were both there covering it, and talked to Chris King, the athletic director, that night. I did a story recently in the Trib talking to him about the challenges, the difficulties of being an athletic administrator, what with everything that's going on. And he says, at least hours-wise, it's certainly not rolled back with him, that he's in constant communication with you guys about the future for your guys' sports, the entire athletic department. When you're talking to Chris, what are you talking about in terms of prognosis, scheduling with so much uncertainty? How do you plan when you don't even have dates to plan to and so forth?
Well, he's done a good job of keeping us updated of everything that's gone on, and almost over communicating. It's our job for him to communicate to us. I communicate to our staff. We meet as an official staff hockey meeting every Tuesday, but then again, you talk to him numerous times during the week. But Chris has kept the head coaches updated. How do you plan? We go forward as businesses as usual, that we're planning to be ready to go come August 31st when school starts. And then if something changes, we've got to make changes on the fly. I think we just finished our Atlantic hockey meetings, and I think there's a lot of different scenarios out there. So you got to be able to react quickly, be nimble, and communicate a lot. We're starting now that our guys are done with their finals and done with their school. We're going to start group chats. We've done 2 or 3 of them already. We got a strength and conditioning one on Sunday, and then we're going to start little group chats. And I think that's the most important thing, is keeping people updated and talking to them, because this is affecting everybody in a different way. And you think it's easy. It's not easy for some. And one of the challenges that we found was, at least talking through some of the guys, that school was harder to do this all online, because instead of sitting in a classroom for for 50 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they would get more reading per se, or they would get more busy work to do. So there were challenges that people that fit. You got to be sensitive to those challenges, and I think we're just all kind of playing it by ear and trying to stay safe, trying to follow the social distancing rules, and but I think that there's a lot of uncertainty, but you just got to plan for things as they're going to be ready to go.
Derek, I'm impressed with the background, Colonial's arena there. It's looking good. I'm wondering if you've learned anything in this process, or if you were always this tech savvy. I've heard some people in various sports talk about how they were going to come out of this on the other side, maybe a little more efficient, maybe a little more aware of things than they had been. This is a look. It suits you. I like it.
Oh, I wish we had more face-to-face meeting, but it is what it is, and I'm trying to learn. I wish I would have had stock in Zoom, because I think we would all made a lot of money off that. But having more Zoom calls and talking to people. I'll give you a little story. We just finished our Atlantic hockey meetings. Our national coaches convention was canceled in Naples, Florida. So we decided to do them via Zoom. And every 11 years, you got to run the league meetings. So it floats back around alphabetical order. And of course, this year, whose turn was it to run the Atlantic hockey meetings? Me. So I had to talk about trying to get a word in edgewise with some of our guys in our league, with Brian Riley and Frank Saratori and things like that like to talk. But I had to try to facilitate our meetings through Zoom. And we did a very good, coaches did a great job. I think we all worked together, and we got some things that I think will really help hockey, college hockey. This is a rule change year, so we had to vet through all that stuff.
Derek, this is really big picture, but I know you're paying attention to hockey as a sport in general. All the discussion about what the NHL can and can't do, might try to avoid. Is any of it feasible? Can the NHL, do you think, boot back up and have a legitimate playoff race to crown a Stanley Cup champion?
I hope so, as I think that the one thing that could pull everybody together is sports. I think sports could really help us, whether there's no fans or not. I think watching sports on TV, it's good to see NASCAR starting to come back, and they're going to start with a big race, a big series of races. You got golf coming back. I think they'll have the best people in the world working on it, and hopefully that getting them started is a prelude to getting college football going and getting college hockey going. And I think that would be really exciting to see and give us something to do in the dog days of summer, that's for sure. But I hope so. I hope they'll be able to figure it out.
Your sports may be changing a little bit on the other side of this too, Derek. Surprising news. Long Island University announcing it intends to play D1 hockey the next time there's a season. You're a guy that spent a little more than a couple of months trying to get Robert Morris ready to roll. What was your reaction to that Long Island University news? And do you see maybe anybody else on the relatively immediate horizon jumping on board? Any other schools?
Well, it was a surprise. We had heard about it Tuesday in our Atlantic hockey, one of our calls, and I'm all for, we need to get as many schools playing college hockey at the Division I level, Division III level, men's or women's, as possible. And we had heard about it Tuesday, but it was almost mentioned in passing. It was one of those things where they plan on starting in this year, and you're like, how are they going to start this year? And we just moved on, and then the announcement came out that they're going to start. It took us. I started September 1st to play in October of the following year. So I had over 13 months to prepare, and I felt rushed. I wish them the best of luck, because I think it'll be great. I'm sure there'll be a lot of good candidates out there, but to be able to do that in 5 months is ambitious, to say the least, because I think that one of the neat things about doing it was putting games together and getting a schedule and getting jerseys, and that's going to all have to be done really quick. And the schedule especially, I mean, because we're all done. We've done most of the teams are done. They might be able to get a handful of games or if people aren't going to be allowed to travel, that's where they might pick up some games. But I can tell you the Colonials are done. We've got some really neat things on the horizon this year. We've got Penn State coming in again to Pittsburgh. Still working on the location, but if it's at the Island Sports Center, it'll be rocking. If we got Arizona State coming in for 2 games because we went out there last year with Austin Lemieux making a return to Pittsburgh. And then we've got a home and home series with one at the beginning and one at Christmas time with Ferris State. And the neat thing about that is there's Brendan McCallion's twin is on Ferris State. And that should be an interesting twin matchup. And there's another set of one of the incoming kids that we have that I can't talk about, but it's got a brother on Ferris State as well. So we're gonna have 2 sets of brothers potentially playing against each other, and it should be a neat non-conference schedule.
Hey, Derek, how does that work for Long Island in terms of finding a conference? Do they go through the whole year and then announce where they're going? Do conferences bid on getting them? What are the mechanics of that?
Well, they'll have to reach out to whatever conference they feel is their fit for them, and then they'll have to do a presentation. Then the conference will decide if they feel that that's a fit for them. I mean, obviously, the conferences that are out east probably are more of a fit for ECAC, but they've got 12 members. Hockey East, I think Hockey East is like us at 11 members each, and Atlantic Hockey with 11 members. So I think that there's definitely a need for other schools to play college hockey. The more schools, the better. I think it's outstanding for student athletes to get the opportunity, and I wish them the best of luck. They're going to have a lot of work in the next 5 months to get this rolling.
Mike, you got anything else?
No, I'm caught up. I've enjoyed this stuff. It's good to hear.
I'm surprised. Here's what I thought. You know, we went through this, but we had all the questions we wanted. I thought you were going to ask me, you know, what's going on with overtime, because I think that you are a massive overtime guy. Are we going to keep it? Are we going to move?
Is there news there? Do you have some news to break? Or
I don't know. I was waiting for you to go back to that.
Coach, I got to be honest with you. I miss the games so much. I don't care how they come back. I want them to
okay, so you want to go back to 5-on-5, no shootout, no 3-on-3?
I will even accept tie games if I actually get to go watch a game or call a game or watch one on TV. I missed not going to the Atlantic Hockey Final Four with the Colonials, which I was expecting to do for the 7th straight year. I missed the Frozen Four, and I'm worried about September, October. I'm hoping that it starts on time and resembles something that, you know, we remember, but I'm not sure about any of it. So the overtime, believe it or not, has been shelved in my mind. I'll get back to it, but I'm just not there right now.
Well, what'd you guys talk about at the meetings, Derek? Was there a movement on that?
No, well, we decided Atlantic Hockey is in favor of getting rid of the 5-on-5 portion of overtime and going right into a 3-on-3 and then potential of a 3-person shootout. And it's got to go through the NCAA rules committee. It's got to go through the championships committee. There's a whole bunch of steps, but we were unanimous in moving forward and just going from getting rid of the 5-on-5 portion of overtime and going right to 3-on-3. And I think 5 to 6 conferences were in favor of that as well. So you could lead to standardized overtime and, you know, standardized overtime, and the fact of your big pet peeve, Mike, actually telling us that there was a winner in the game. Like that. I know it
would actually
the tie.
It's getting better and better. I thought there was a rule somewhere that college hockey could not have uniformity among its conferences.
Well, we're working on it, and we're getting to that point. Potential. Keep our fingers crossed.
More modern parlance, Derek. You should have like a red, yellow, green victory. Like that's the way it should go now in the post-COVID-19 era. It's a green victory, yellow victory, red victory is only 1 extra point.
Well, I can tell you, my kids are looking forward to getting back out skating, and I'm sure my players are, and and I'm sure, Mike, you are too. I mean, everybody's looking to get back into doing some sort of activity and getting sports back going. So hopefully, even if we had to play 5-on-5, don't tell the people that are in favor of that. But even if we tell them play 5-on-5, I'd be the same as you.
I'm actually more looking forward to getting back to the All-Star Grill in Robinson and having a beverage or two. But we'll take what we can get as it comes, right?
Yeah, we can't. We'd be remiss. All the coaches show that we did with Jeff and through this, and obviously this pandemic's been tough on businesses. But I went by and I saw Jeff a couple times at All-Star when we bought some fish fry Fridays and things like that, and he's excited to get it back. And all of our sponsors that sponsor that, Moon Township Ford and Jeff, and it was good seeing him, that's for sure. But he loves having us, and he loves having you guys, even though Tim gets all mad about the setup at him and snaps at him and finally gets the tire. I'd pay to see that right now. And I know that everybody that came, the countdown, and the countdown, usually the big joke of all the guys that come every week, countdown to Tim Benz snapping on the setup is starting now. And then everybody watches Tim stomp around. But if we could do that again, we'd all love it.
That's always the under. That's the problem. There's no
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You should have seen me yelling at my own computer trying to set up this 3-way Zoom call. It was pretty similar to that, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, well, that's doesn't surprise me.
All right, guys. Well, this was fun. Good idea, Derek. Glad we did it. And let's hope we don't have to do it again. Let's hope the next time that the three of us have news to share, it's all in person and we can do something a little bit more conventionally. But should that not be the case, let's not wait too long to do it again.
No, I think this was fun. And it's good to talk Colonial hockey.
Derek Schooley, Mike Prisuta, Tim Benz with you. You'll be watching this, I assume, on the RMU webpage, specifically RMU Hockey's webpage, and three of us will tweet it out on our social media accounts as well. Thanks for tuning in for a relatively new form version of the Derek Schooley Show here on Zoom.
Yes.